This could be a wild one. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 29th. We are the last Wednesday in June. The last Wednesday in Pride Month.
Wow.
Our music got a little distorted, but this is our fifth Wednesday show of this month. So it's been a long one. And just excited times. This is Coffee Pan Dulce. Once again, if you've been tuning in for a while. Hey, Christian, how are you? It's just you and I, it looks like.
Yes, happy last Wednesday. Yeah, happy last Wednesday of Pride. I mean, literally we had 5 Wednesdays. This has been a long month for many reasons.
Honestly, I mean, besides some of the things that happened since our last show, actually, it has been a long month. I mean, when you look at, we have the January 6th, hearings going on. We have, the whole Roe versus Wade thing that we knew was going to happen this month. Like, it's not I guess we all in the back of our minds was hoping maybe they would not do the stupid thing, but everybody was anybody with a brain was pretty much sure that, there's already women's rights groups that were booking July post-Roe, protests and sit-ins and stuff like that. So, I mean, they've been trying this for 50 years.
Yeah.
The chances of them
speaking of that,
pulling up and backing off because of protests, clearly they made a decision when they asked the president and Congress to assign them protection duty. The moment they did that, I was like, oh yeah, it's Roe's done. You're not asking for bodyguards if
exactly.
we're going to back off the decision.
I agree. Well, exactly. We're going to be talking about a lot of that. And so welcome everyone to Coffee Pan Dulce. As Jenny said, this is Coffee Pan Dulce, our last Wednesday of the month. And it is June 29th.
Right.
And of course, this is our last week of Pride. So I've got my Pride banner around the screen here. We do want to thank everyone who's joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube and Facebook later. But now the thousands of people who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform, like Spotify and all of the rest. I'm just going to keep milking that joke.
The irony of that joke is that people listening on the audio podcast,
they still have no idea.
They still have no idea that we put our hand over our mouths when we say that.
That's right. That's right.
As a nod to the whole Joe Rogan controversy.
Yeah.
And I think the funniest part of that was the fact that we were converting this video show, this video podcast, to an audio platform, including our older shows, so we could play them on there. At the time that the whole Joe Rogan Spotify controversy was breaking, we were
blew up.
To those platforms
as that. And we were so excited. We were like, we're going to be on Spotify.
Oh no. Yeah, like we were so excited to make that decision to multicast. And it was almost like somebody, like the universe knew, hey, let's pop this bubble too. Just like
exactly.
It was kind of a bittersweet thing. I almost felt guilty.
That's why we can't have anything nice
on Spotify.
What is that saying? That's why we can never have anything nice.
I know.
Someone always has to ruin it.
You have to. We have to fool around and invite Joe Rogan to the party.
That's right. Exactly.
He's the drunk person at the bar at the party.
Yeah. Actually, we haven't heard about him in a while. So, but you know what? Let's go. It's you and me. You and I, Jenny, going to carry the show today. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barb Bacon, Mama Ruth, or Mama Ruthless, and Baconless today. And today's topic is Who is America? Part 2, our annual July 4th kind of show. And then we also added What is Replacement Theory, which is perfect for Who is America? So before we go into our 3 current events, let's go ahead and go around our pretty much screen. Jenny, introduce yourself and your cause, please, for those who don't know you.
Absolutely. I'm Jenny James Gunn, a local LGBT advocate, and am a out of the closet trans woman, non-binary person, and also too, I do a lot with feminism causes. I'm a board member of the National Organization for Women. I am in a lot of other progressive causes. Of course, always healthcare for all. I think it's a no-brainer after the COVID pandemic that we've survived the last couple of years.
Right.
And
Amen.
obviously some type of version of gun sense. I mean, clearly even the Congress, even the Republicans in the Congress got it. And I think it was something that should have been done when Columbine happened. Like I think it was 23 years too late, especially as a half measure as it is. It's more political than actual. It definitely did not go anywhere near far enough. We should have had those type of common sense things happen in 1999 when Columbine happened. I think it was too compromised, but it was something. It was something that we didn't completely dishonor the people of Uvalde that passed away and got slaughtered by this psychopath terrorist.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jen. And I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host today. My buttons are Happy Pride. Last week of Pride, but of course goes all year round. Also, healthcare for all, as Jenny mentioned. As she mentioned, and in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who was a guest of ours, who passed away in 2021 at a very young age. With that said, let's salute to our neighbors, to you and I and everyone else who's watching, whatever you're drinking this morning. And then also we want to thank our Pan Dulce sponsor and supplier here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Manolo's Bakery. These are conchas. For those who don't know what those are, they are pastries, Mexican. Those are specifically kind of Mexican-oriented pastries. Please visit your Black and brown small businesses during this global pandemic, or any small business. Buy local, except one of the persons we're talking about. We're going to be talking about, Jenny's going to be talking about this person out of the show. I won't even go into that until we segue into our other topic. So with that said, did I miss anything, Jen, before we go into our current events? I can't remember. Did I do? I'm always. We did
the.
Okay. All right. Got that. Proud Bernie is here with us. He's going to be leaving the show. He's got his pride flag, and then also baby Trump Pinata, who's got the HRC button and all the other collateral, and they'll be leaving us as we start talking. So we're going to talk about 3 current events very quickly, as we always do, right, Jen? Very, very, very quickly.
You spend more time winding it up than we actually do discussing.
That's right. Okay. So the 3 current events. A report came out this last weekend that in 2021, healthcare providers or hospitals, healthcare hospitals, especially the big hospital chains, like here in North Carolina, you have Atrium, Novant, and some others. They had a record-breaking year. They made billions and billions of dollars in profit in 2021 during the pandemic. Not only did they get seized from taxpayers, but they made a lot of money from insurance people and all kinds of stuff. The second one, Supreme Court's been in the news all week long or all month long, as Jenny said, but the verdict finally came out. It came out last Friday. The Roe versus Wade, Roe was overturned. And so states can determine what they're going to be doing. And also they, in between there, they also passed some gun thing in New York that says, Jen, I'm sure you'll clarify this with us. And then I thought it was very interesting. I'm going to just mention this because I wanted to say this. Justice Clarence Thomas, during the Roe decision, actually made a point to give his own, opinion. And in his opinion, he said that by overturning this, that he felt that the next thing that we should touch is contraceptives, gay sex, or the what, I don't even know how to term that, and also marriage equality. He's basically saying we're coming after you. So that's the third thing. But the interesting thing was, because as soon as he said that, I thought of this. Samuel L. Jackson and Whoopi Goldberg also said this as well. They said, "Hey, Uncle Clarence, you better be careful because they may come after you and your white wife." So I was like, finally, someone said that. So, all right, well, go ahead, Jay. So, talk about those.
And so that had been mentioned when the verdict had gotten leaked, or the decision had gotten leaked, weeks before, that several of the justices had indicated they were going to revisit other controversial verdicts like marriage equality, same-sex sex, interracial marriage, and the Loving decision. That their premise is, because it was never codified in law, that these were errant one-off decisions that never should have happened, or if it was, they should have inspired Congress and the president sometime, because most of these verdicts, except for marriage equality, the majority of them were, anywhere from 40 to 50 years old or even older. The Loving decision was, I believe, 1967 or 1968, if I'm not mistaken. And so, ironically, if you take away marriage equality, you're probably going to take away the Loving decision too, which means Clarence Thomas's marriage to Jenny Thomas is null and void.
Yep.
Which literally, of course, this is a very Republican thing that they go against their own interests all the time because, quite frankly, they're stupid. And I mean, that's the only reason you vote against your own interests is because you just either want to play the victim. I don't know. I don't even know what the mentality would be, but it's room temperature IQ stupid, in my opinion. But nobody's ever accused Clarence Thomas of being a genius. I mean, we can all remember his confirmation and Professor Anita Hill and just some of the gross things he said to her, allegedly. And and Jenny Thomas is a very unfortunate human being and an insurrectionist, allegedly.
Exactly.
But anyway, and then the other one, the actual decision, absolute travesty of justice. And I've been calling it for a few years. I mean, you can go back and listen to the tapes 3 years ago on the show. I said, man, oh man, you guys better listen to me when they're stripping trans people of rights and coming at us. They're only coming at us because we're an easy target, number one. And number two, whatever argument they use against us and our body autonomy, they will use against everybody else, including everybody else in the rainbow. And I've been telling this, even when you doubted it, Christian, even when other people doubted it. Yes,
I never doubted.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Show me the tape.
We have some conversations where we got into fights about this. That didn't affect my family. And let me tell you, that mentality, when you look the other way, when your neighbors are being carted off, is how genocides happen. When people say, how did the Nazis do that? It was when our neighbors, especially our neighbors that are supposed to be allies, look the other way and go, at least it's not me. And that happened a lot in the last few years. And I'm not just pointing you out. I mean, I've heard this conversation many times.
No, I
including log cabin Republicans that were, laughing about what's happening to trans people. I'm going, now look at the log cabin Republicans in Texas.
Exactly.
Booted out.
Now their feelings are hurt. They're like, oh, why?
Yeah. Now all of a sudden,
how dare you?
Their butts twitching and realizing that just like Hitler's best friend that was gay, he got carted off too. And got killed. And so these psychopaths have done the same thing for thousands of years. And there's no safe person unless you are a straightish, white, cis, conservative male in this country, and you have money and power.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a target.
Yeah.
When they want to make an example of somebody, they can, if we let them. And so my point is, and I will always say this, is if you ignore your neighbor's basic human rights, don't cry to me when your head gets lopped off too.
I agree. That's a good point.
Me, just listen to me.
And, about the health things?
And then the health thing, old Uncle Bernie's been talking about this for a while, and wonder why we can't afford health care. It's because, again, they're making record profits off a basic utility. And healthcare should be a basic utility, keeping people alive and productive. People shouldn't be dying because they can't afford insulin. And I've personally seen that. I've had a coworker die because they couldn't afford their insulin and they didn't want to ask us to help. Literally, this kid went to sleep one night and he didn't have enough money for insulin. He never woke up. I've personally seen what a exploitive, pay-for-play healthcare system will do to human beings. And it's just, again, just stupid. I mean, it's just every high wealth nation in the world has universal healthcare except us.
Yeah.
All the other countries, I've got tons of friends, especially in the UK, that just ask me, they go, how do you survive it? And I said, you just do. And you hope you
don't get sick.
Insurance you have. You hope that you can afford it, no matter how high the deductible is. And you hope your medicines, your pharmaceuticals are covered. Because if they're not, you're doing second jobs, you're going homeless, you're something, you're selling stuff. And it's just, or you live in a state that is fairly progressive, like a California, that Med-Cal covers the gaps. Yeah. But if you live in a hillbilly state like the one I live in right now, North Carolina, where it's, let them eat cake state, you don't care. You don't care if people die. They can't afford insulin. And this all really comes down to common sense versus stupidity. I mean, taking away women's and people with ovaries' ability to choose a medical procedure or not for a clump of cells that is indistinguishable between a dog fetus and a dolphin fetus at 8 or 12 weeks or even 20 weeks. It's completely unviable. Yeah. And is attached to the body. It's an outcropping of a deal like a bad runaway toenail or something. It's not a human being. Will never be a human being until it's born. That's why they call it a live birth certificate. There is no debate on that.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I agree with you, Jen, on all of it. The health, not surprised. Hospitals made tons and tons of money. We gave them money. Taxpayers gave them money. And obviously they were going to make money with all these people that were sick in their hospitals because someone had to pay for that. So they made tons of money. They didn't skimp any money. And I hope their nurses and doctors get raises or get some type of profit sharing on that. The Supreme Court thing, I have a kind of different take on this. You're right. We did expect this. There's been a lot of news this weekend about how the headlines about how the conservatives and the white evangelicals, this is a big victory for them. This is a big victory for white evangelicals who are pro-life, because the anti-abortion pro-life thing is really a white and evangelical thing. Catholics and more people of color, they're pro-life, but we're pro-life in a different way. We're not as obsessed with abortion as they are obsessed with abortion. But one of the things that they said on one of the headlines is it took them 50 years to accomplish this. So I kind of see the glass is kind of half full. They are so bad at what they do that it took them 50 years to do this. I believe that because we know the polling it does not agree with this, that we will come around the next 1 to 2 years, hopefully, if we all vote the way we're supposed to vote. And so I do believe that the pro-choice people are a lot smarter than they are, and we will eventually win this, whether it's through lawsuits or something. The problem is there are women who need reproductive justice now, and they're the ones that are going to have to suffer in the interim as well. The Samuel L. Jackson comment, I'm so glad that he made that comment because that was the first thing I thought of, but I was like, I don't want to say that because I might come across as, I'm not an African-American person or a Black person, and, I don't want to kind of mention that. So I'm glad that they were thinking exactly what we're thinking. It's like, how dare you say, if anyone were going to come after you.
Absolutely. Talk about the two best people to say it. Like Whoopi and Samuel are not only intensely talented human beings, but they're both politically plugged in and very aware of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And absolutely, it's a brilliant comeback. Like my brother. Like
Exactly.
where are you going with this, boo boo? Like this is a really bad decision for you, my friend, in an interracial marriage.
Yeah.
When your wife is already on the hot seat for January 6th. I mean, like,
exactly.
I mean, to me, it's one of those really unnecessary blunders.
Yeah.
Both the ruling was really, really stupid and unnecessary and just absolutely cool. But to go on a diatribe when you didn't need to and say, oh, by the way, I'm going to announce them targeting other groups too. I'm just like, I guess you really want the Republicans to get obliterated this fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so every battleground state's like going.
Yeah. They're like, even our friend Lady Graham in South Carolina said, now hold on a second. We don't want to take anybody else's rights away because it might impact me too. So I don't want to.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's take our first break and then we're going to go into our topic because I know you have probably a lot more to say about this. So we're going to take our first break on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. And so I know we probably have a lot more to say about that stuff as well, Jenny, but one of the things I'm curious of what you have to say about this is if they took away, let's say, I know one of the rulings was like same-sex or same-sex sex, all right? You don't know how they word that or whatever. One of the rulings that he said they're going to take away. That's going to impact straight men because they're the people who are going around having a lot of same-sex.
Yeah, to me,
I'm like, gay people aren't going to stop having it. They're the ones that are going to, it's like.
Here's the thing. People are going to still have abortions.
Exactly.
They're still going to have queer sex, kinky sex, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Been around. There's depictions in the Chinese pyramids from 5,000 years ago of them not only having wild ass sex, smoking funny things in opium dens, and playing instruments. And sex is a social tool, whether it's with yourself or somebody else, a group like MTG, in our swingers parties. And
Christian lady.
Republicans and the orgies and the cocaine,
that's right.
Probably mostly man on man loving. Can we get to this point in America, since our topic is what is America?
Yeah.
These topics that we talked about is the three main topics of the day. Literally is the state of America. What is America? What is American and what is America? Which is
good segue.
A crock pot of chicanery and fuckery on the TikTok and stupid politicians, especially on the Republican side of the ledger, and on the SCOTUS and the Congress and the president, the former guy, and literally everybody else in their little pod of people between Elon Musk and Pillow Dude and all these other people that just absolutely embarrass themselves, at least on a weekly basis. Even Elon Musk fell out of the news. Yeah. And him buying the Twitter machine or trying to buy the Twitter machine combined with his Google machine because there's been so many stupid things done by the alt-right.
Exactly. They've taken
and that is where we are in America today, where the more racist you are, the more stupid you'll sound, the more hypocritical you sound, you might be a Republican.
Well, speaking of that, Jim, there is I know you're going to talk about this on your show that comes on about 30 minutes after this on Wednesdays. There is a lady who owns a place called Sweet Savannah Boutique. It is in North Carolina, Thomasville, North Carolina. And this individual, and you probably know her name, was it?
I've got it written down.
Yeah. Okay.
I got my
And she did this video on Friday nights. She does. I guess she does like some live thing to talk about her store, and she went on this crazy thing about dirty Mexicans and how this is, and it was
Well,
not only just offensive, it was just stupid. So this is a great segue into Who is America Part 2. We talk about that and replacement theory. So what do you want to say about that before we go into the replacement theory?
I mean, a lot of this does center around racism, which is we've had a problem with for 400 years plus. And this clown in Thomasville, North Carolina, Holly Weaver Smith, that owns a tanning business and a clothing boutique.
Yeah.
It does this little TikTok on Friday nights, really talking about her businesses designed to just promote items. In fact, she was kind of folding and fidgeting with clothes when she had this racist, bigoted Trump outburst or MTG outburst. And she starts talking about that she went on a trip to Mexico. She didn't say where, but I do have some theories on it. But she goes on this rant that she said, ever since I've been back, and she'd been back a while, like a few days or maybe even a week ago. And she goes, ever since I've been back, I've tried everything. And she said, I'm not even joking about this. But I seriously smell like a dirty Mexican.
She said that. Yep.
And just goes a little bit more about it, and then I guess the TikTok cuts off. And so a couple of hot takes is one, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And there's no upside when you belt out the hot take of dirty Mexicans that you smell like
exactly.
dirty Mexicans. And being a personal service business, like owning a tanning salon, which, by the way, her tan is hideous. So that's not a good advertising for that. Two, if you have so much BO that you have to go on and on about your body odor, so she's serious about the body odor. I mean, I've got a solution for it. Run your pooty poo and your armpits through the car wash. Wash them things. They don't.
That's exactly. That's what I was thinking exactly. It's like, don't tell us you're nasty. It's like
I'm like I wouldn't even admit that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be inviting people in my business on this TikTok show that she's doing about promoting her business, and then use the selling point that she's a horrifically bad person and a racist. Like nothing makes me want to buy a dress more from her boutique than the fact that she calls Latinx people dirty Mexicans. Like, woo, that promotes me. If you don't like Mexicans and you went to Mexico, how stupid are you? Like,
exactly.
Like if I don't like a particular type of person, like I don't care for Republicans that much, the last thing I'm going to do is go to the 2024 RNC thing. Well,
exactly.
It's actions, but it would be for the show and scientific purposes. But I'm not going to, Lindsey Graham's, high tea society thing and down
our tea party,
or a tea party, or hey, so, touch my toes and I can touch your toes party.
But Jenny, I mean, you're exactly right. She owns a tanning salon and boutique. The fact that she's telling the world that she's nasty, she's dirty, she's funky. Wouldn't that invite the health department to go look at her tanning beds?
That was my question. So it's like, to me, when I think about a ladies' boutique store, a clothing store, I think about nice brand new clothes and nice little changing rooms, maybe some, some cucumber water and maybe a few little biscottis or something, with nice relaxing music in the background. What I don't want to think about is somebody's BO, like long-term BO that smells like
that she can't get off of her.
Like she clearly can't get off her. Like one, maybe your diet, maybe. I mean, you wonder
food. You wonder what her husband is thinking and her kid. She's got like a 12-year-old girl. You're like, I mean, the embarrassment, And hey, just want to say, I know you're going to talk about this on your show, but she did issue an apology, and it was one of those, I'm sorry, this is not in my heart, this is
Gaslighting
not who I
apology.
am. Yeah. It's not who I am. she turns down like this. She covers her eyes and she there's no
She
tears.
did the whole swagger.
Yeah, exactly. I have sinned. And so
And one
she
other
said,
thing-
this has been bad for my community. She like played the victim. Like,
Well, yeah.
like she is the
But,
victim.
like, you victimize yourself, though. You like,
Yeah.
there is nothing about what she said that would have anything to do with a tanning salon or a boutique.
Yeah.
So let's just put the BO for the side for a second before I throw up on my iPad. The fact that you bust out a purposely, insanely racist statement, you swerved out of your way to go off and disparage not only an amazing country, if you've never been to Cancun or Cozumel or anything like that, first-class resorts, world-class human beings, amazing people. I grew up with Tejanos. I count many of my friends, including you. You're one of my best friends. We're like siblings. That's why we get on each other's nerves so much. I should change my last name to Cano. Not because we're getting married. We don't want to start that rumor.
That's right.
But people that I hold near and dear to my heart, when I hear something so insanely racist, and all racism is unnecessary. Let's start there. There is no apology that covers up that stink.
Yeah.
Is it?
And then just say, and then she says, "I'm not a racist." I don't know. Maybe she doesn't know what racism is. What you said was racist. I mean, it's like,
well, yeah,
it's not like she said, "I feel dirty." She said, "I feel like a dirty Mexican." She didn't say, "I feel like a dirty woman." I feel like I can't get. And she had to say enchilada and taco.
I feel like a dirty white trash woman. I would be going, well, I mean, at least you cut.
Don't blame us.
But why swerve into insulting a people that took care of you on your vacation? You probably had a great time. I'm sure they didn't have a great time, because if she's got a mouth like that, last time I saw a mouth like that, it had a hook in it. And, and when she was in that resort, those all-inclusive resorts, she got super, super drunk and probably yelling out, "I want some tacos and some French toast," and she was probably just so sloppy drunk.
Oh,
because
God.
I think she was probably on something in that racist rant. She had to be on something.
She had to be on wine, or I don't know what she was on. But hey, listen, we're going to take our second break. But I do want to say we're going to get into our topic now. Who is American Part 2? This is a great segue. And also, what is replacement theory? We're going to talk about that as well. But one of the things I thought was, and I know you're going to continue to talk about this on your show. Right. One of the things I just thought was just so incredibly outrageous is, well, first of all, I just want to say, I reached out to her. I sent her a message saying, if you really want to apologize, come on our show. We'd like to hear, maybe there's some reason, maybe there's something we didn't see. And when I said, we'll be fair, but we're going to be direct, she hadn't got back with us. But I'm just saying is that if she's watching, or any of her friends, because she's from North Carolina, come on our show. We'd love to talk with you. She said, I'm sorry. And she actually said on her apology, thank you for calling me out. I should have been called out. We're going to call you out. And we're going to tell you how it makes us feel and everyone feel, and why this is not even necessary. And so if you're truly sorry and you truly want to be held accountable, come on our show. We're going to be tough, but welcome to come on our show. So we're going to take our second break. I don't know how Jenny feels about that. I'm sure she'll give me some words. Okay, all right. We're going to take our second break. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce. Hey, everyone. We just want to wish you a happy Pride. June is International Pride Month, and we're celebrating it all month long. Also, we do want to thank those who watch us on Facebook and YouTube, and the people who now listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. We want to thank you. Don't forget that our summer schedule is out, so we have our topics that we'll be covering in July and also in August. And just want to say happy Pride. I'll dance out. All right, well, welcome back, y'all. I'm looking at Jenny's face. I'm going to change the subject here. All right, so who is America? We do this every year. We want to talk about who America is. 2020, we talked about it because we were going through the Trump craziness in the election year. 2021, we were in the midst of the pandemic, and we talked about who is America, how diverse it was, and so forth. And now we're in 2022. Things like this happen. Things like the replacement theory shooter who shot up in Buffalo, went looking for people of color to shoot. Things like the person down in Uvalde who was, crazy and so forth. And Trump is coming back in the news, still talking stuff. Proud Boys doing their crazy stuff. So, the replacement theory, in case you're not familiar with the great replacement theory, basically the replacement theory has been around for a long time. My understanding is it was around during Hitler and it kind of recycles itself every 70 years, so to speak. And basically, it's a far right-wing conspiracy theory that says that there are people on the left, like us, and Jewish people. They want to include Jewish people and gays and all of the left that they would consider left. That there's this conspiracy.
Jews.
Exactly. Got to put the Jews. Exactly. Got to leave the Jews.
Authoritarian conspiracy theory is like, what are we, top liver?
Yeah, exactly. So they believe that blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and Arabs, and all immigrants, basically, because apparently they don't realize they're immigrants. They believe that there's this thing that we want to replace them with. The reason we want open borders, or that's what they're saying. We want people to come because we want to replace them. And so that's their fear. And so they want to stop that replacement and so forth. So that's the great replacement. It's a crazy, crazy theory. And we've talked about that before. I've said all the time, if you're actually afraid of someone who just came to America, who walked all the way across the desert and came here, and who's an undocumented person is going to take your job, either you have a really shitty job or you are a really bad employee, that person who can't even speak English is better than you. So that's my theory. So Jenny, tell me what you think about who America is. And I know we segued into this.
So would we look at these wackos on the alt-right, no matter who it is, whether it's a former president down to a racist business owner from Thomasville, North Carolina, when they run their mouth and say absolutely the dumbest things you could humanly say, which is they do it every day, sometimes in camera, sometimes just amongst their friends at a coffee shop, but when they drip out this stupid stuff, some of these stuff is 80 or 100 years old or even older than that. You just have to look at them one and go, you had to have hit your head really hard at some point in your life. Two, can you literally be that stupid? And clearly, that's a yes. I mean, January 6th, anybody that still follows Trump and still pays to go to his rallies when you can just watch him yap on YouTube and all that for free, why anybody would go to that and wear Trump gear and the little clown suits that they wear is unbelievable. But when you're talking about something is just dumb, like the great replacement theory, first of all, there's nothing real great about it. Exactly. Second of all, I'm going to riff off what you said, which is, if you can get beat out for a job or a slot in our society, for some poor person that has come from Nicaragua, El Salvador, or Panama, or any of the countries that are struggling right now for a lot of different reasons, and their only choice is to walk literally across another nation's land, as long as Mexico is, maybe with a group of people, maybe by yourself. But you're willing to do that because your situation is so dire. And that person can find their way through the border and make it to the other side.
Yep.
First of all, I got no help for you. Like, new arrivals have always happened in this country.
Yeah.
We're all new arrivals. Even the indigenous people at one time supposedly came over the land bridge separating Alaska and Russia. Everybody came here at one time or another, whether it was 12,000 years ago, 400 years ago, or whatever.
And Jenny, and you give it an exact point. most, and you talk about this like with your own family, most Western European or Europeans who have come here, they're actually very recent arrivals, 50s, maybe in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. They've only been here, they haven't even been here 100 years.
There's a lot of white people in this country that are only one or two generations deep, like myself.
Exactly.
On one side of my family, I'm only two generations deep. My dad's first generation American, born here. And so literally the assumption is just because you have some type of white or pinkish palm-colored skin, think, well, they've been here forever. That we were here, no matter what our last name is, which is also a really dumb thing, is that unless you were British or an African slave, that was the only two people here, basically, for the most part, in the 1790s.
Yeah.
Very few other people in those 13 original colonies.
That's right.
Into the original 13 states. Now, there was people all over North and South America of different descents and stuff like that.
Yeah, there were the Spaniards and Louisiana and French and stuff.
We're talking about the original American colonies and the original 13 states, including right where we're sitting right now, North Carolina. And for me, the assumption that whites, what America should look like or what America is, which is white people, one is an insane amount of stupid entitlement. Yeah. Two, whether you've been here a day or 400 years, there is no expiration date on our citizenship once you're an American, unless you choose to denounce it and move away. But it doesn't give you any more entitlement. There's nothing in the Constitution that, well, if you haven't been here at least two generations, you're like an American light.
Yeah.
You're some kind of subcategory. Because they're going to eliminate a lot of people like Trump that is a second generation American.
Exactly.
Two of his three wives were not even born American.
Exactly.
But their kids were the first generation Americans. On that side of the family, on the maternal side of Trump's kids' family. So almost all of his kids, except for Tiffany Trump, have been born to foreign-born women. And so I find it ironic that this mouth breather movement of the MAGAs and the QAnon and the Proud Boys, which I just lump into one tub of just wackiness, just unhinged wackiness and stupidity, that you don't think for yourself. And the moment somebody dog whistles a racist or homophobic or whatever hateful statement, that you guys all buy it hook, line, and sinker, when thinking that somehow we're going to replace a bunch of white people with homosexuals, intellectuals, people of color, poor migrants that are walking on their little hooves to get here and are half dead by the time they get here. The majority of them that's what's going to knock you out of the food chain. Why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps?
Thank you.
And and get some rich relatives like Elon Musk to donate a bunch of money to you, or buddy Elon, or maybe marry him.
But Jenny, don't you think in a way, most of these people who really espouse this, and you've seen the people that have really, like a lot of the Proud Boy members, and they're what we would call, and Liz Cheney, and they're what we would call more lower educated,
they're idiots. It's just idiocy. Fog pedals, but went to good schools. But
I don't think they did. Yeah, because this is what I'm saying. It's so stupid. The theory is many reasons stupid, but I don't want to be like them. I don't want to replace them because I don't want their life. The last thing I want is their life. So I want to replace someone like about
conservatives, though.
Exactly.
This is a core principle. This is what separates conservatives from progressives. And I've said this a million times on this show. The progressives always know that the more we work together, the more we believe in the melting pot of America, the tapestry, the beauty of diversity, the bigger we can make the pie. the bigger we can make that beautiful American apple pie. And we all can win. There don't have to be any losers. Conservatives want to keep that pie as small as they can, and they want to get the biggest piece, and they want to hurt somebody. And they always believe there should be losers.
Yeah.
And what a low rent mentality that is. But the truth is, that's what 99% of conservatives think like at the core. They may not admit it. They may not want to admit it. But conservatism, authoritarianism in all parts of the world, but especially here, is particularly evil. That they're willing to kill even people of their own mentality, as we saw in COVID, but was willing to kill millions upon tens of millions of indigenous people, millions of African slaves, basically kill, maim, push aside anybody. It's ironic that they come up with this replacement theory when that's all they've ever done. They came in and replaced the indigenous people, kicked them off their land, slaughtered the ones that resisted. And then they brought over and slaughtered Africans. So 50% of the slaves died in transport.
Hey, Jen, here's... Go ahead, Jen.
They've spent 400 years on this continent replacing people, hurting people.
But here's the thing about this current replacement theory that I don't think... I think we know this, but I don't think we actually talk enough about this. This is a different replacement theory than it was, let's say, when we grew up. When you and I were growing up, and the old Texas has always said they wanted to succeed. As Texans, we always say we're going to succeed, but it was a different type of succession. Yeah, it was a different type of succession, because at that time, the people who lived in Texas, Texans, believed that they were so good, they were good enough that they could live on their own, that they didn't need anyone else, that they could break away from the United States and they could just do very well. The replacement theory people today don't believe that. They don't believe they're smart enough to be on their own anymore. And the reason they don't is because they're like, well, I can't really be on my own. So what I got to do is replace other people in hopes that they don't take over with me. If they actually thought they were good enough to be on their own, they wouldn't be talking about replacement theory. They would be talking about, I'm going to take over Mississippi, I'm going to take over Louisiana, I'm going to take over South Carolina, and we're just going to be our own state. They don't even have confidence in their own ability to manage themselves. But they couldn't.
But their philosophies, to me, this is the only small part that I disagree with you on.
Okay.
They've always been that way. They've always been unconfident in their abilities, so they've had to fight dirty. They've had to fight. They've had to create racism and redlining and Jim Crow.
Because they can't win.
They can't win head to head.
Exactly.
We just saw this in the last election.
Exactly.
Where a very elderly, middle of the road Democrat that came out of not running for an office for 4 years comes out and beats their Messiah.
Exactly.
By 8 million votes. I mean, I'll go with it and say maybe there was a few dirty votes. But I'm telling you, there wasn't no 8 million error votes. Like 8 million? Like even that call that they got recorded and playing the January 6th deals of him and other people in Georgia, other Republicans, and he goes, well, I need you to find me 10,000 more votes, boys. Like, that can't be that hard, And I'm like, so you're the guy that accuses Democrats of doing it, and you literally got recorded begging for, I think it was 10,000 or 12,000 votes, or what is it?
Yeah, 11,000.
You can find them,
something like that. Yeah.
Certainly, you and Giuliani can get out your crayons and you can mark a few, just a couple ballots, just 10,000, boys, like 10,000. You owe me this.
He's so delusional. He's like the king of delusional. Yeah.
Like what a crackhead! Like what an absolute wacko! That got recorded saying that. Mm-hmm. Kudos to whoever did record him, which was great.
And Republican recorded him. Yeah,
absolutely, because they always like having leverage on a former president.
Let's
come on.
Hey, Okay, listen, we could go on a lot about this. We only got about 15 minutes left, and we're going to take our last break, and we're going to talk about a show that Jenny leads. And if you think we're letting our hair off down now, imagine what we talk about on her show. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. It comes on about 30 minutes after this show on Wednesdays at 11:30. Great stuff. We even talk even more about this. So we're going to take our break, and it'll tell you to watch us. We'll be back in about 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. And don't forget, about 30 minutes from this, Jenny leads a show called Two Queers in a Truck. Please, and I'm sure she's got a lot more to talk about, some of the things we've talked about. So, let's get back to Who's America. I don't want to go into the replacement theory anymore because it's such a stupid theory.
Well, I think,
but, who is America? Who do you think America is? Yeah.
I think two things. I think one, that there's, about 30% of our population that believe in that kind of stuff and that are heavily racist. And it's the same 30% that won't get vaccinated either. That will fall for anything, that are just absolute mouth breathers. I think the rest, the 70% of us that agree on most things like, gun sense and human rights and things like that, that was the same 70% that didn't like the bathroom bill and the idea of a bathroom police. The people that are mostly working class people with half of a brain that can look at something and go, yeah, that sounds stupid. Yeah. That sounds like a really bad decision, like riding on a crotch rocket motorcycle and down a quart of tequila. Like it sounds like a bad decision because it probably is. So it's going to hurt somebody. And so our diversity in our country are, like I call it, a tapestry in this interwoven communities of just beautiful people. I think for the most part, America is a very beautiful people. It has just a group of people that are loud, extraordinarily stupid, and just run their mouths because they've gotten away with it for so long. Yep. And they've had control of this country for a long, long time. And only recently have we seen progressive voices consistently win political offices. But I think these mostly white people, mostly white Republicans, and their associates just, they're not caught up to technology, and they're not thinking about when they say these stupid things on the TikTok, like the lady in Thomasville, all this. They are just noticed because you just go, how do you just say something that's stupid? And the rest of us, we make dance videos, and we make funny videos, and, we enjoy our kids, we enjoy our families, we enjoy our loved ones, and we've fought in wars, and we've lived lives, and we've lost people along the way. But I think that's why Americans usually are very quick to forgive. Even some of the stupidest people in our society. And we move on. We have a lot of resilience. We have a lot of the advantage of being a very young country in the worldwide perspective is we kind of go, kind of like a teenager, like two teenage boys two good friends might just punch each other in the face, then just shake it off, high five each other, go, oh, that's a good punch, bro, and go on and be best friends and be going down the street getting ice creams together. That's kind of what America is a very young society, a very immature society, which is kind of scary because we have so many nuclear weapons, but we make a lot of spontaneous, impulsive decisions as a nation. But at the end, I think we're also a very generous, very, very forgiving. We want to move on when we can. And I think as long as people aren't keep bullying, and I think that's when people get upset, like we saw the bathroom bill in 2016 here in North Carolina, and there was so much corporate backlash because I said, oh no, you're not doing bathroom police there. And the response was fairly quick. It was very painful for North Carolina, and it got their Republican governor fired, and it brought in the wonderful current governor that we have that's already been reelected once. And so I think we're, again, when you're a melting pot, you're going to get diversity of ideas. You're going to get You're going to get the wackos. Like it's a whole basket of fruits and nuts, and we all kind of most of the time mesh, but every once in a while we get in these little sibling spats that sometimes end badly for certain people. But at the end of the day, I think America is a beautiful country and an amazing people when we give our best and we don't try to hurt people.
That was a good. I agree with you, Jen. I had that same feeling as well. Even with everything that's been going on, the June, the rulings, all the attacks that have been done to your community, over the last several years, and they've really ramped up, lately. And it's even with all that, I still, like you, or I don't know if I'm saying this, you can agree, but I still have faith in this country. I still believe that there are enough of us, like you said, there's that 30% that's the loudmouth, Marjorie Taylor Greenes, Matt Gaetz, the trash squad kind of people. We're going to have those, but they are becoming less and less important to our lives. They're just becoming more nuisance. Unfortunately, it takes a while to kind of push them away. They come back and push them away. But I do believe that the majority of America, they're tired of the shit show.
Well, I mean, we've always had problems.
Pardon my French.
Yeah, that was surprising, actually. I haven't heard you cuss on the air.
I know. I don't know. Sorry.
Usually that's me. But usually you're more ladylike than I am. But anyway.
In more ways than one.
You got the vapors.
That's right.
But I think the one thing our country doesn't tolerate for very long, the majority of us is a version of bullyism. For the most part, Americans believe in a lot of fair play. That's why we value, or most of us value, democracy, is that there's a sense of fair play with democracy, that you can go win an office, if you run your campaign right. That's the whole theory behind it. Yep. And I think Americans like to invest in that. I think they like to invest into businesses when they can. I think they like at least the possibility of opportunity that's there. What they don't like, it's more and more or less tolerated, is people that are dicks.
Exactly.
Racist, homophobic dumbasses. And they're the reason why we can't always have anything nice, is because we have to stop what we're doing, take a couple steps back, deal with them, and go, no, that's stupid. Like we had to do with slavery. We had to fight a whole 5-year war over that crap and just turn our economy upside down and our country upside down for a really bad idea that should have never happened. Is that if we thought the King of England was bad, then why did we continue to practice slavery?
Exactly.
And because a lot of the idea, this was only amongst the wealthy white elite. It's like, we don't want to be a slave to the king, but yet most of them were slave owners.
Exactly. Yeah.
Delicious irony, and that has been the mindset of white entitlement in this country, that we're slowly, as we saw in the last election, where 8 million more people voted to fire the former guy because they felt like he wasn't doing a good job. They didn't like the bullyism. They did not like the horrible way he handled COVID. And when people assessed him, they're like, I'm willing to go out in the pandemic and fire this dude. We can't keep him anymore. He's tearing this country apart. And so that was very reassuring that he couldn't manufacture enough votes to win. And he goes along that same theory that he can't, he doesn't believe in a fair fight. He doesn't want a fair fight, and that's typical of a trust fund baby. That's typical of somebody who has so much given, and he's given nothing back to society other than heartache and death. And that's not America. America is more like the boy that stuttered. It's a little bit more like Biden or Obama, to a certain extent Clinton and former President Carter. Carter is probably the most prime example of a former president that espouses the best of our society, that struggled a lot as a president, but didn't let that taint his view of humanity, that he is the best example of what I'd say is a Christian actually lives the values of Christ.
Yeah. But
Versus some of these mouth breathers that are Republicans that don't do anything that's covered in the New Testament whatsoever. But you look at somebody like that, and that's who I hope more of America is like. If you're going to base a leader / servant, as we look at the life and times of Jimmy Carter, of a Dr. King, of a Samuel L. Jackson, of so many, Sylvia Ramirez, that was, that was one of the first stone throwers in the Stonewall riots, and a Latinx trans woman, and so many brave, all the way to an AOC, to all these beautiful black, brown, white, this melting pot of brave human beings that have just persevered despite all the issues of wherever they came from. Didn't let that define themselves. And I think that's what America is, and not the slavery and hunting down indigenous people. We did that too. We're the same people that did that, but we need to start learning those lessons more longer term. We need to say, we're both of the wolves. We're the evil, malicious, sad, vicious wolf. We're also the good wolf. We're happy. We're empathetic. We're compassionate to our worldwide neighbors, and let that better feed that wolf, and let's starve off the evil wolf.
Very well said, Jen. Very well said. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show. So I do want to thank you for joining us. And let's go ahead. Jenny, tell us where you're going to be over the next week, and then I'll tell us what's going on the next week, and then we'll close the show and get ready for yours. So, Jenny, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just doing, more work. I will be on your screens in about 30 minutes. And I actually kind of have another fairly low-key week coming up. I do have a short, quick trip up to Raleigh tomorrow. That's about it. Nothing super excited. Pride Myth is over in a few days, and we start with the 4th of July holiday, and then of course, obviously, August here, Charlotte Pride happens in the month of August.
That's quick. That's right around the corner.
About 50 days away.
Wow.
Be here before we know it.
That's right. That's right. Well, and I will be in an undisclosed location, as I always am, in July. And so we have a great show next. Our next show is actually going to be All Politics Are Local. All Politics is Local. We'll have some individuals on, we hope, that are running for office here in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's some local elections going to be occurring in July. And I actually have my absentee ballot that I got to send in here. And then, of course, the second show in July is actually going to be, as we were just talking about this, MAGA Republicans. Are they the new America's welfare queens? That's the topic. And then we have our second annual Barbara's Viewers Choice Show. We talk about anything she wants to talk about, or whatever y'all want to talk about. We always have some fun on that one. And then the last show of July will be we'll be talking about the Free Cuba movement. If you remember, a year ago there was a Free Cuba movement. We're going to talk maybe some people who were with that movement and find out what happened with that over the last year. So we got a lot of great things, and as Jenny said, here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and around the country, there's other prides that are going to be occurring throughout the summer. Let's see. Did I miss anything, Jen? I think everything.
I think we're done for this episode.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So once again, stay on with us because in about 30 minutes, Jenny's show, Two Queers in a Truck, she talks about, and I'm sure she'll be talking about a lot of these things. And we do want to thank you for joining us. I really want to thank everyone for joining us. This has been a special June. I know a lot's happened. Jen. I think things are going to get better. I hope they are. So, but it can only get better, as Jenny said, if we get involved, if we vote, if we don't just talk about it, we actually hold people accountable. And I think I think we do when we do that. I think this is anyway. All right. I'm going to dance out. How's that, Jim? Oh, welcome back, Pride Bernie and Baby Trump Pinata. Do my pride flag. Bye, y'all. Happy Pride.
Bye, y'all. Happy Pride, bud.
See you next week. Oh, hold on. Let's.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching. And we close out June, International Pride Month. And we appreciate you all watching us every week. Otherwise, Christian and I would just have a really boring conversation by ourselves. So thanks for inviting us into your homes, your cars, or wherever you listen to us at. And happy Pride and happy 4th of July.
See you next week. Thank you for watching or listening.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.